Hi there and welcome to Thursdays with Annette at 2 o'clock. I'm so glad you're joining me this week because I've got a hot topic. It's all about barbecuing because spring's in the air, so I think it's time we dust off that barbie and get cooking. But before we get into that, I want to review last week's show because we had lots of great comments about the segment, and it was all about why diets fail. And I think people really appreciated a lot of the tips I gave. So if you didn't see last week, go down, scroll down and find it because it's there from last week. Now, we always have winners. And actually, you need to stay tuned because I'm giving away something at the end of the show that I've never, ever given away before. I know, you have to see it. It's going to be fantastic, and I hope we've got 3 amazing winners for that. But this week, the winners from the show were Lynn Singleton, Chrissy Ann Forbes and Charlene Pammett. Now, those gorgeous girls have got a book 6 in the mail, and I personally signed it this morning for you, so enjoy it when you get it. Winner, winner! It's always exciting to win, isn't it? Now, let's get on with the show because I really want to talk about the barbecue thing. Now, I know that we think of barbecues as a man's domain and we're supposed to have the night off, are we, when they barbecue? I don't know about that because Diane and I were talking about it before. We thought, well, yeah, the guys do the barbie, but then who preps everything up? Who gets the salads out? Who sets the tables? Who makes the nibblies? Who washes up and cleans up? Yeah. But I really would suggest that if you have a fella that loves to do the barbie, that you get them to watch the show today because I think it will really give them some good tips. Now, I'm not saying that the men are the only ones that use the barbie. I use the barbie a lot too. And I want to go through some great little tips for you. Now, before we get right into it, I want to do 3 tips that I think you should do each time when you want to use your barbecue. It's a good way to get into the habit. And the first one is to check your gas. Now, especially over winter, it's probably been ignored for quite a few months, and you don't know if there's a little bit of a leak in your gas bottle or whatever, but the worst thing is when you've got friends over and you go to light the barbie and it's just dead. There's nothing in the tank. So always before you have a barbecue, especially if you're having people over and it's a big fizzy event, check that you have a full tank of gas for your barbecue. Now the next one is really important, to clean your plate. Now I asked my Billy, because he's very fabulous and he does dominate the barbecue, and I'm very happy for him to do that, and I'll do the kitchen side. Now I asked him, because he is a master chef as well, and I said, how do you actually really clean your barbecue, because it always looks a bit fabulous. And I wrote down what he said, and what he said was to get the fat removed, what you do is you heat the barbecue first, then you pour boiling water over the fat and then wipe it off with either paper towel or a newspaper. Yeah, so I thought that was a really good, because it works. Our barbecue looks amazing. So I'll just repeat that. You heat the barbecue up to melt the fat, then you throw the boiling water over and then use your paper towel and newspaper to give it a good clean. Now the other thing that you should do as often as you can is clean the drip tray, because if there's a lot of fat sitting in that, it can ignite, and that's not a good thing. So always make sure that's cleaned. All right, so now when I think about barbecues, I love them. I really find that they are such a healthy option for all of us. Now, why I say that is because when you're doing barbecuing, you've got your flat top, but then you've also got the open grill. Now, when you're cooking your meat or your chicken or your pork or whatever it is you're cooking on the barbecue, what I love about that grill is that the fat's able to escape through the grill. So it's a really clean and healthy way to cook your meat. So, thumbs up for barbecuing. Now, one of the things that I find when it comes to cooking the meat, and I really don't want to make judgment, guys, but some of the men really know how to ruin a good piece of steak. You give them this beautiful meat and it comes back like a piece of shoe leather. And I think what it is, and I'm not saying it's everybody, but just some of the men, let's see if you relate. They're standing around the barbecue, they've got a drink in their hand, they've got their big long tongs, and they're turning the meat and everything as they chat to their mates. And by the time it gets on the plate, it's been turned 100 times and it's as dry as anything. So my big tip, now write this down because this is a diamond. The biggest tip I can give you with really good barbecuing is that when you cook your steak or your chops or any of your meats, you cook it on one side, give it a good amount of time to cook, and turn it once. That's right, turn it once, guys. And then when it's cooked, put it onto the tray or whatever it is you're going to do, and it will be moist and juicy, and people will think you are the king of the barbecue. Okay? And the other thing that I find guys tend to do is they put the flame up full pelt. Like they've got all the things on and it's up high. And that's where you get charcoal sausages and everything's just burnt to smithereens. It's called lower the gas. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be on full pelt. So when you think about doing sausages, for example, there's a couple of suggestions I've got for you there. Now, you can either get the thin sausages, which we favour, because they cook quickly on the barbecue. But if you like the really thick sausages, then what I suggest you do is you boil them up ahead. It only takes a few minutes to do, and just drain them well, and that way they're actually cooked. So they've just got to be browned on the barbecue, and that will mean that they're not going to be charcoal pieces of sausage. Now, one of the things that I make, I don't really buy sausages a lot because I just think, I don't know, is there really meat in sausages? I'm sorry, a butcher's probably now screaming at me, but I question it. And so what I do is I always make my beef sticks, simple beef sticks. They're in book 4. And I love them because you get the mince and the sausage mince and then you mix it together and you push it onto a kebab stick and then roll it in crumbs. Kids love it, but the big kids do too. And I like it because I've made it, and I think it's always nicer when you make things yourself. So the other thing that I really like doing at a barbecue is marinating. I mean, I think marinades are beautiful on steaks and seafoods and chicken, pork, all those ones. But you've got to be a bit careful. The ones that have got the honey in the marinade can actually, the sugar in the honey will burn quite quickly on the barbecue. So either avoid the marinades with the honey in them or lower the gas. Okay, you don't lower it down so it's not going to just brown everything off too quickly. Now, I've got some great marinade recipes and I love them. Like the one that I really love the most is the marinated chicken drumsticks in book 1. Oh my God, it's fabulous. I've been doing that marinade for a million years, but I actually do it in the oven. I don't cook that on the barbecue ever because it does have the honey in it, and I think it just, they're drumsticks as well. Please know, see the word drumsticks? Chicken wings, they do not belong on a barbecue unless you like charcoaled outside and raw inside, because the bones are just making it really hard. So forget anything with bones on the barbecue, because otherwise you've got to cook it too long and it's not enjoyable. So the other things that I like to marinate though are, I actually wrote them down for you because I've got the marinated barbecue steak, and now that's a really beautiful one. That's in book 5, and I've also done it as marinated vegetable kebabs. And that's just something a little bit fizzy for a barbecue. Why not? Let's just not just give them a tossed salad, people. Let's impress. But other ones that I wrote down here that are great is the minted lamb kebab. Stop it right now, book 5, delish. The barbecue prawns, if you love seafood, that's a beautiful one in book 6. Spicy plum chicken kebabs. Now we're having actually a barbecue. It's our daughter's Jenna's birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday for Sunday, Jenna. Anyway, she's here and she's requested this one. She's the spicy plum chicken kebab. She said, you will be making them, won't you, Mum? And I went, oh, yes, darling, of course. That's out of book 6. The mango seafood kebabs, I love them because it's got a bit of fruit on it, a bit of veggie on it, and the seafood. I think that's fun. That's in book 7. And the other thing that I really want to talk about as well is fried onion. Now, normal fried onion, they put it on the barbie, it's cooked with all the meat, and what happens with onion is it absorbs a lot. So if it's got a lot of fat there, it will absorb the fat into the onion, so it's not ideal. So what I suggest you do is I always get my billy to cook the onion first. Now, either then remove it once it's cooked and put it in the oven. If you've got the oven on heating for other things, that's fine. Or Diane suggested something to me, which I thought was really clever, was, you know, the little foil takeaway containers you get. Chuck the onions in that and just leave them over to the side on the barbecue, keeping warm. I thought that was a great idea. I always have an oven on for some reason, so I just did that. Now, the fried onion recipe is in book 7 with the burgers, so you've got that one as well. Now, with chicken, as I said, remember, bones are not good, but I think, you know, the other thing that I would suggest is when you're doing pork or lamb, if they're on the bone, I would once again use them without, you know, or remove the bone if you can, like out of the chop. Now, when you're barbecuing seafood, which we love to do, I love fish on the barbecue, and what I'll do is I'll often wrap it in foil with a bit of onion and some herbs, a little bit of cracked pepper, a bit of sliced tomato, and I wrap it in the foil like in little parcels and cook that on the barbecue. Now, if you want to know how to check if fish is cooked, when you open the foil up, if it's still pink when you cut into it, that means obviously the fish is not cooked through. When it falls apart a little bit and it's white in the centre, you know your fish is cooked. And that's the key here with all the barbecuing. Don't overcook it. It really does spoil it. Like I prefer the chicken breast on the barbecue than thigh, because the thigh is quite fatty. And people say, oh, it's a bit dry. No, it's because you've overcooked it. So just be a bit more gentle with the heat. Now I've got 8 tips for you as well, and I think that I just want you to make note that barbecuing can get boring. By the end of summer, we're so over it, aren't we? But there's lots you can do to make it fun and fizzy, and that way you don't get bored. Now, be imaginative with your barbie. It's just not meat and a tossed salad. Like I often make a pepper sauce or the Diane sauce in the books and have that on the side, and people pour it on as they get their steak off the barbecue. I mean, it looks like it's a bit fabulous, like a little restaurateur, but it takes 2 minutes to make that sauce, so it's no big deal. I love fresh corn cobs cooked on the open flame. It's fabulous. Now, when you talk about open flame, can we just talk about cooking spray? I just need to go there because, you know, I always use the cooking spray on the flat top. You don't want that cooking spray to be going to the grill part because it will ignite, and I have seen people lose their eyebrows when they do it that way. So just note, for safety, cooking spray is okay on the flat top, but not on the open flame. Now the other thing is sliced veggies are fantastic on the barbecue. And like I often do, like mushrooms, tomatoes, sweet potato. Don't cut it too thick though, because it takes a while to cook otherwise. Zucchini, eggplant, pumpkin is another great one. They're great cooked on the barbecue. And I always really like my fried onion because it doesn't taste really fatty and oily when you get it. And most people seem to react well to that. Now, I also make a mix sometimes just because I like to have something different, and I slice up onion, capsicum and mushrooms. Just slice them up together and cook them on the barbecue and just have that as a side dish. It's fantastic. And fresh pineapple. Love fresh pineapple slices on the barbecue. They taste delicious. So you see what I'm saying here? Like, think out the square a little bit, and remember to use that, you know, if you brought your meat out in a tray, don't put the cooked meat back into that tray because it's got the blood and all the rawness in there. You want to have a different tray for the cooked meat. And the last thing I want to talk about really is salads. Now, salads are really a big part of barbecuing, yes, and I wrote down my favourite ones. Now, I'm sorry, it's a little bit hard because there are lots that I really love out of the books, but I just decided to be a little bit judgmental, and I went with one out of each book. Now, book 1, Caesar salad. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous for a barbecue. It's just a little bit different, and people love it. My Sym slaw book 2 is phenomenal, and what I love about Sym slaw is it's got the curry sort of flavour, a bit of apple in it, sultana, so it's got that sweet and savoury thing happening. Asian salad is a must. If you've never tried it, please do. It's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Deluxe potato salad is great because you're using the sweet potato and the normal potato. Cajun rice salad, it's just a little bit of an interesting spin on a boring thing, which is rice salad can be a bit plain. Curry cauliflower salad, if you're looking at a low carb diet, then this is so much better than using potato. And I do really think my pear and walnut salad is a bit fancy smancy. It is yum. But my all-time, drum roll please, favourite salad is the El Dorado salad in book 7. I cannot get enough of it. It's fabulous. And the other thing before we go is nibblies. Now I say be a bit, bit skimpy on nibblies, because if you give them all this food to start with, then you bring out the barbecue, they're all like, oh, I'm full, and they don't appreciate all this fabulous food you've got for them. So I just make a Mexican dip. Book 3, boom, done, and that's all they get, and it's enough. So that's what I do. It's so much better than a cheese plate or lots of fatty dips. If you want to do something, just do the Mexican dip, book 3. It's fantastic. And I think that way we can start the season fabulous. We're into spring now and it's barbecue time. So I hope you've enjoyed those tips. Now, what am I giving away? Yes, what am I going to give away? Well, I decided that something that I always wear when we have barbecues, and I thought you might like it as well. That's right. It's my new fabulous apron. Hello. Look at this. It's gorgeous, isn't it? It says, live, love, cook, simply too good to be true. Now, if you would like one of these to be yours, and you can wear it at your barbecues or wherever you like, because I wear them in the kitchen too, all you have to do is like, share, and in the comments, you know what you got to do. You hashtag simply too good. Remember, it's Sym with the Y and the number 2, and I'll pick 3 fabulous winners. Now this apron is worth $24.95, so it's got to be one of those ones you've got to be in it to win it. I mean, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy cooking even on a barbecue? So next week's show, I will have my apron back on. I'll be wearing it because I'm going to be in the kitchen cooking one of my all-time favourites. It's the pepper fish. I mean, I don't want people to think that fish is boring, and it isn't. If you look at this recipe, you'll see why I want to make it for you next week. It's going to be fabulous. So see you next week, and don't forget to go to the website if you need anything, www.simplytoogood.com.au. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.